What if the fear you feel about the future is not really about what might happen, but about how your brain predicts it will feel? Most people think they are afraid of uncertainty because the future is unknown, but biologically that's not the problem. The real problem is that the brain dislikes unresolved prediction. The human nervous system is not designed to wait calmly for what comes next. It is designed to anticipate, to prepare, to reduce surprise. From the brain's perspective, the future is not a blank page. It is a simulation, and when that simulation is dominated by threat, loss, or uncertainty, the body responds as if the danger is already real. This is why anxiety about the future feels so physical. Tight chest, shallow breath, restless attention. Constant mental rehearsal. The system is not imagining, it is predicting. Neuroscience increasingly shows that perception, emotion, and action are driven by prediction. Carl Friston's work on predictive processing describes the brain as a system constantly generating expectations and updating them based on incoming signals. The brain does not wait for reality, it tries to get ahead of it. From this perspective, fear of the future is not irrational. It is an attempt to maintain control over what has not happened yet. But here's the paradox. The more the brain tries to control the future, the more rigid its predictions become. And the more rigid the predictions become, the narrower the future feels. This is why many people feel trapped long before anything goes wrong. They are not stuck in reality. They are stuck in anticipation. In earlier episodes, we explored how trauma collapses time, how identity stabilizes prediction, and how control loops keep the nervous system locked into survival. This episode begins where those processes loosen, when fear no longer structures the future, when the future begins to open again. Opening does not mean optimism, it does not mean confidence, it does not mean certainty, it means openness. Openness is not a personality trait, it is a nervous system state. When the nervous system feels safe enough, prediction softens. Instead of insisting on a single expected outcome, the system allows multiple possibilities to coexist. This is not philosophical, it is physiological. Anil Seth describes perception as a controlled hallucination, a best guess about what is happening now. The same mechanism applies to the future. The brain constructs a best guess about what is coming next. Under fear, that guess becomes narrow and repetitive. Under safety, it becomes flexible. This is why the future feels different to different people. Two people can face the same uncertainty. One feels paralyzed. The other feels curious. The difference is not courage. It is prediction. Fear is not about what might happen. It is about what the brain expects will happen based on past learning. This is why unresolved fear does not disappear with reassurance. Telling yourself everything will be fine does not update prediction. The nervous system does not respond to language, it responds to experience. Openness begins not with belief, but with reduced urgency. When the system no longer feels the need to resolve the future immediately, it can remain present. And presence changes everything. Presence interrupts prediction. When attention rests in the present without bracing for what comes next, the brain receives new data. Data that says, I am here and nothing is happening. This is how fear loosens, not by confrontation, but by non-confirmation. Lisa Feldman Barrett's work on emotion shows that emotions are constructed based on predictions about bodily states. Fear is not a fixed response. It is a categorization of sensation under uncertainty. When uncertainty is paired with safety, the category changes. What once felt like fear begins to feel like anticipation, or excitement, or openness. This is why novelty can feel thrilling or terrifying depending on context. The sensation is similar, the interpretation is different. The brain is not afraid of the unknown, it is afraid of unpredicted threat. When the nervous system learns that uncertainty does not automatically lead to harm, openness becomes possible. Openness does not mean passivity. It means responsiveness. In systems theory, open systems are more adaptive than closed ones. Ilya Prigogine showed that systems far from equilibrium can reorganize into more complex and resilient forms. Order emerges not from control, but from allowing fluctuation. Human lives work the same way. When we over-control outcomes, we reduce adaptability. When we allow emergence, new structures appear. This is deeply counterintuitive. Most cultures reward planning, certainty, and fixed goals. But psychologically, fixation creates anxiety. Many people confuse desire with outcome. They believe they want a specific future, a job, a relationship. a state of success, but often what they really want is a felt experience, security, meaning, freedom, connection. When desire is attached to a single outcome, fear increases because the future becomes fragile. If that outcome fails, everything collapses. This is why outcome-based desire produces chronic tension. The system is constantly monitoring. Is this happening yet? Am I on track? What if it doesn't work? Desire without fear is different. It is not attached to a specific form. It is oriented toward direction, not destination. Stuart Kaufman describes life as a process that explores adjacent possible states. Evolution does not know where it is going, it experiments. Desire can function the same way, as a compass, not a map. When desire is held as a direction, curiosity, contribution, creativity, the future becomes spacious. There are many ways for it to unfold. This is what it means to embrace the unwritten future, not to abandon intention, but to release rigidity. Flow states illustrate this perfectly. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi showed that people enter flow when challenge and skill are balanced, and attention is fully engaged. In flow, the future disappears. Action unfolds moment by moment. Flow is not passive. It is highly engaged, but it is not anxious. The brain in flow is predictive but flexible. It adjusts continuously rather than clinging to a fixed plan. This is why people often do their best work when they stop obsessing about results. The nervous system shifts from control to coordination. Quantum metaphors can help here, if used carefully. In quantum physics, outcomes are not fixed until interaction occurs. A system exists in multiple potential states until measurement constrains it. Human futures are not quantum systems, but psychologically fixation functions like premature measurement. It collapses possibility too early. When we insist on knowing how things will turn out, we reduce the range of what can emerge. David Bohm spoke of an implicate order, a deeper level of reality from which patterns unfold. While this is a physical theory, the metaphor is useful. Life unfolds from conditions, not from plans. Your book Quantum Reset explores this idea at the level of lived experience. Not as manifestation, but as state-based change. When the internal state shifts, different possibilities become available. The future does not change because you force it. It changes because you relate to it differently. This is why letting go often precedes breakthroughs. Not because of magic, but because the nervous system stops interfering. Interference is subtle. It shows up as overthinking, overplanning, micromanaging emotion, constant evaluation. These behaviors are attempts to stabilize the future, but they generate noise. Stephen Strogatz's work on synchronization shows that systems fall into rhythm when interference decreases. Too much forcing disrupts coherence. When the nervous system relaxes its grip, internal signals align. Thought, emotion, and action synchronize. This is alignment, not spiritual alignment, biological alignment. When alignment occurs, decisions feel simpler, not easier, but clearer. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start sensing, "What fits?" This is not intuition in a mystical sense. It is pattern recognition without fear. Fear distorts perception. Openness sharpens it. Antonio Damasio showed that emotion is essential to decision-making. Without emotional signals, people cannot choose effectively. But fear overwhelms signal. It floods the system. Openness restores signal clarity. This is why people often say, "I don't know why, but this feels right." They are responding to integrated information. Embracing the unwritten future does not mean rejecting goals. It means holding them lightly. As experiments, not demands. When goals are experiments, failure becomes data. Not identity. This is psychologically liberating. Because the self is no longer on the line, identity softens. Curiosity returns. This is where growth accelerates. Not through effort, but through engagement. The brain's dopamine system is often misunderstood here. Dopamine is not about pleasure, it is about seeking. Novelty activates dopamine because it signals learning potential. The brain is drawn toward situations where prediction can update. But fear blocks this. When threat dominates, dopamine is hijacked. Seeking becomes avoidance. Openness restores healthy seeking, exploration without panic. This is why small acts of openness matter. Trying something new without expectation, saying yes without knowing where it leads. Allowing plans to change. These experiences teach the nervous system something crucial. The unknown is survivable. Once that learning accumulates, fear loses authority, not because it disappears, but because it is no longer in charge. At this stage, the future feels different. Not guaranteed, but alive. People often describe this as relief, or lightness, or space. This is not because life became easy, it is because the internal relationship to uncertainty changed. When you stop bracing, energy returns, attention frees up, creativity increases. This is why many people experience a surge of ideas after periods of letting go. The system is no longer consumed by defense. Your book, Quantum Reset, returns to this theme repeatedly. Change does not come from pushing harder. It comes from changing the state from which you act. The unwritten future is not something to conquer. It is something to meet. Meeting requires presence. Presence requires safety. Safety requires patience. This is not fast work, but it is durable. The future opens gradually, through moments of ease, through unexpected calm, through curiosity replacing fear. You may still plan, you may still care, but you are no longer trapped by outcomes. This is freedom, not freedom from responsibility, freedom from compulsion. As this episode closes, there is nothing to practice, nothing to visualize, nothing to manifest. Only something to notice. When you stop demanding certainty from the future, the present becomes enough, and from that state, life responds differently. If this exploration resonated, you can go deeper into these ideas in Quantum Reset, changing the state that shapes your life. The link is in the description. And if someone you care about feels stuck, bracing for what comes next, sharing this may help them soften without explanation. The future does not need to be predicted to be lived. Sometimes it only needs to be allowed.